Hello and welcome to another video. In a previous video, somebody left a comment and suggested making a video on the gear and the motorcycle itself because most of the videos you're just maybe seeing this mirror a little bit, some of the windshield, and so I figured I'd go over a little bit of the gear. As I've mentioned in a previous video, gear here is extremely important because it is very dangerous to drive here in Abidjan with all of the different laws or lack thereof and lack of following the laws. But it's also kind of difficult with the heat because the heat here with full gear can be pretty miserable. And so I've tried to find a little bit of a balance. So with the bike, when I bought the bike, it actually came with this helmet, and it's a fairly cheap helmet, just kind of the half visor. And I don't know that it would protect at all. And so I decided, you know what, I would rather have a helmet that would protect my brain. And so I was able to find this helmet here. Here in Ivory Coast, and it's LS2, and it's got a drop-down sun visor. The mask just kind of goes up and down, fairly simple. It's nothing fancy, and it's ECE 05 rated, and so I knew that it would protect my brain. But I bought it used, and it is also fairly tight on my head. It squeezes my cheeks so much to where it's very uncomfortable to wear. And I know helmets are supposed to be tight, but this one was just a little too much. And so I went ahead and looked in the States online and tried to find a helmet that is just as highly rated safety-wise, that's not used because I don't know how this helmet was treated before, and then also fits a little better. And then I also wanted a helmet that had a visor that went up all the way. And so here in my box, I've got the helmet that I was able to find online. And it's got the normal visor, goes up and down and such, but then it's also got the chin bar, can go all the way back, and so I can wear it as a half-face helmet, and it's actually rated safety-wise to wear like this or with the chin bar down. And so that can give me a little more airflow with the chin bar up, and then also allows me to talk to people a little more easily. And then I've also got the camera mount on here and the Cardo, so I can make calls and listen to music, although I don't listen to any music because I want to be able to be aware of my surroundings, so it's really just to have phone calls while I'm on the road. And so this is the helmet I'm currently in. It's ECE 22.06 dot rated, so it's very safe. And then the chin bar is really something that I wanted for the helmet. So as far as my head's concerned, this is mainly what I'm wearing. And then the other two helmets, if I happen to have a passenger, they can wear one of those two, preferably the one that is actually safety rated. But this is the helmet. And then as far as jacket goes, I've got this full leather jacket, and I was able to find this here in the Ivory Coast as well. And this was the only really vest available where I've got the armor in the elbows and forearm, and then also in the shoulders. And it's got made for a back protector, but it didn't come with one because, again, it's a used jacket. It was cheap, under $100, as was the helmet. And so the other problem with leather is it is extremely hot. And so again, I went searching online to find a mesh jacket because these leather jackets are not very easy to wear here in the heat of the Ivory Coast. And so I was able to find this mesh jacket online on a closeout sale. And so it's got the panels that allows the wind to pass through, but it's still got the elbow pad, it's still got the shoulder pads, and then I bought a back protector to go in there as well. So protected shoulders, elbows, back, all around with this jacket. And so this is what I'm always wearing now. I rarely wear the leather now. So I was able to get this brought over here from the States on a closeout sale. And so I'm very thankful to have this. It allows a lot more wind through. As far as hands, because that's really important. Again, I was able to find these gloves here. They're fairly thick. They've got palm sliders and knuckle protection, but again, they're cheap. I think there's some on AliExpress. They're like $6. So I figured, you know what? I might want something that's going to protect me a little more. These are all I could find here in the Ivory Coast. And so again, I went online and I got some Alpine Stars gloves with the leather on the palm, the knuckle protection, and these are mesh as well. So it allows the wind flow as I'm riding, which again, here I want mesh everything. And so this is mainly what I'm wearing for the hands, is these Alpine Stars gloves. And then as far as pants, I couldn't find any pants here, and so I would just wear normal jeans at first. And same with shoes. I just wear normal shoes because that's all I had. That's all I could find. But again, looking online in the States, I was able to find these riding jeans. And these jeans have knee pads and hip pads. And then they are also infused with Dienmar, I believe is the word. And it means they're not going to tear. They're not going to get road rash when you're scraping along the road. Well, hopefully not when, but if you scrape along the road, these aren't going to tear and allow you to get road rash. I've got another pair that is infused with Kevlar, which for me, I think of Kevlar as bulletproof vests, and that's pretty intense, but that's not the case. It's just like 10% Kevlar infused on the outside just to keep it from ripping when you're scraping along the pavement. And so now I've been able to have these, and I always wear these with the hip pads, the knee pads, and then the tear-resistant fabric. And then as far as feet, again, most of the motorcycle accidents, it's the shins down that are hurt because the bike will fall on your leg. And so originally I ordered just kind of ankle length boots, but I'm deciding, you know what, I better spend the money. They're expensive, but I want to be protected. And so I got the full length Alpine Stars boots. Again, they're mesh, and so it's leather, but it's mesh leather, so it's perforated and it allows air through. And so that way it'll protect me, but also not be super miserable. And I prefer pants on the outside to look a little more discreet, although I know they're supposed to go on the inside. But as far as protection, I've got the helmet, the vest, the gloves, the pants, and the shoes, and that's what I wear every time I go out and try to do. As far as the bike itself, again, I was able to find this top box. This is a very big top box, and I got a size big enough. It's 55 gallon, 55 liter actually, and I was not able to find a really good top box here in the Ivory Coast, and so again, I got that from the States and had it brought over, and this has been very helpful because I wanted everything on the bike to be theft proof. And so when I left the bike, I didn't want to carry my jacket and my helmet and everything around with me everywhere I go. And so I have this top box, and the helmet and the jacket and the gloves fit in this top box, and then you can lock it on the back. And then I've also got this tank bag here. And this tank bag is not very big. I didn't want it to be very big. Basically, I just keep a camel pack in here, get some water, because again, the heat will kill you. And so always nice to have some water. And then I keep the motorcycle documents in here to give to the police who are constantly stopping you. Keep a waterproofing kit, some things for the camera, some bungee cords if I need to strap something down. And then it's also kind of my go-to if I pick something up along the way, just throw it in here in front of me and in this little tank bag. And this is a cheap enough motorcycle that the tank is not metal, it's plastic pieces. And so I had to get a tank bag that you could strap on rather than the magnet kind that a lot of people have. But it works well. And since it is just buckled on, I have this bike lock here, and it goes through the strap of the tank bag. And that way nobody can just unclip the tank bag and take it along with them. Then I've also got a little mini padlock here that can go on the zipper so nobody can open it and get in the motorcycle documents or anything. And so I've got the lock here to keep things in. I've got the tank bag locked. I've got the tank bag locked to the bike. And then I've also got a disc lock on the bike itself so you can't roll it at all. And it helps with prevention when they see an extra lock on the bike. I'm not sure that motorcycle theft is a big problem here, but I figured rather safe than sorry and have that prevention necessary. And then I've also got some camera mounts here on the front for the action cameras. And then I've got the phone mount. And I went with the quad lock because the reviews were just too good to pass up with vibration dampening so it doesn't destroy the camera of your phone. And then it just clips on there fairly easily, even though my phone wasn't designed for it necessarily. It was able to get a stick-on case. And so now I've got the quad lock here on the bike. But the bike itself, it's Feng Hao. It's just a Chinese brand. I had never heard of it in the States. But here in Ivory Coast, the most common brand that I see is Apsonic in French. And they have scooters for maybe $500 and the motorcycles for around $1,000. And that's a cheap Chinese brand that a lot of people enjoy. This one is it's one step above the Apsonic and Feng Hao, and it's got the electric start. It's got the electronic dash. It's got it's just a 200cc motor, so it's still a small bike, and that's what I wanted. I'm a complete beginner, and so I don't want a lot of power. So it's still just a 200cc motor, not a lot. 6 gears, and got blinkers, lights, the normal stuff that a motorcycle should have. Even the cheap Chinese stuff comes with that. Even came with a little phone charger connected to the battery already. And so for something cheap, it's served me well. It hasn't really had many problems breaking down. Even I've dropped it a couple times and picked it back up and got back on, and voila, it goes as it should. And so I'm thankful, blessed to be able to have a bike. It's just a little kind of adventure bike, not too sporty, especially with the massive top box on there, but it's more for utility than it is for fun. And getting around Abidjan with a car is miserable with all the traffic jams, but this thing can fit through. I mean, it's fairly narrow, the handlebars here. Even the top box is narrow, that even though it's fairly big. And so I haven't really had too many problems squeezing through in the different places. But this is kind of the setup that I have with the motorcycle itself being Feng Hao. It's called a Chevalier 200-9 and 200cc motor. And then with the tank bag here, the top box here to keep stuff in, the phone mount, the camera mounts. And then as far as the gear, I've got the LS2 Advent X helmet, and then the Dainese jacket, mesh jacket, the Alpine Stars mesh gloves, the Alpine Stars mesh boots, and then the Reacts brand jeans, riding jeans with the knee armor and the hip armor. So, you know, hopefully I don't crash too often, but when I do, I should be protected. And as I am riding here in the heat, fairly well ventilated. And so that's the setup I kind of have going. But if you're interested in other videos like this, feel free to leave a comment. Maybe I'll do a video on the camera setup at some point as well, if you're interested in how I do the filming. But again, thank you for watching, and have a à la prochaine is what we say in French.